So that's caught me a few times, but it's more like we have lights that shut off on us all the time for no reason, all times of the day.
Yeah.
These lights in the front room just like shut off. And patrons are like, what? And we're like, oh, we call it Mr. Hazard.
Good evening, hikers. Tonight, the fog isn't rolling across the coast so much as settling into the rafters. Like dust shaken loose from a century-old ceiling. This is the Fogcast, and I'm Reverend Redbeard. Welcoming you back to another night in a state where history has a habit of creeping up on you when you least expect it. Maine is full of old buildings that far outlived the people who built them. Brick mills, colonial forts, libraries with staircases worn down by generations of footsteps. Walk into one after dark, and you can feel the weight of everything that's happened inside. Not in a frightening way necessarily. More like the building is remembering something, and you've wandered in at the wrong moment. Tonight, I'm joined by John and Jess of the Boo Fighters, two investigators who spend their nights listening to those memories. Jessica, a librarian and historian at the Gardiner Public Library, helped uncover the first signs that the stacks weren't quite as they seemed. And John found his way into the group after a few too many unexplainable moments in his own home. We talked about the library's strange habits, from lights flicking on in sealed attics to shadow figures drifting through the upper floors. We dug into Fort Western, the Governor Hill Mansion, and the Vassalboro Mill. Places where footsteps echo long after the living have gone home. And we explored the difference between the energy that simply replays itself and something intelligent enough to answer when you call out. But before we head inside, a gentle reminder to keep your lantern lit and your name to yourself. Because if something in the dark says it already knows you, that's rarely a good sign. And while you're staying cautious, join us on Patreon for early access to ad-free episodes, digital extras, and exclusive content, such as the Lantern Logbook. Visit AcadiaAfterDark.com for more stories from the stranger corners of Maine. Now, let's begin the episode. Welcome back, folks. I'm joined this week by two other members of the Boo Fighters, John and Jess. How you two doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Super excited to have you both on. We had DJ and Ariel on last week. Had a really super fun conversation. Talked about their journey coming from Sioux Falls all the way to Maine, and then getting involved with paranormal research and the paranormal and horror con, and how that kind of reinvigorated a lot of local paranormal groups to either form new ones or got people back and interested in it again, and that was super cool to hear. So I guess we'll start out the show just giving you each a chance to just say a little bit about yourselves and introduce yourselves. John, how about you start?
Well, okay. I'm John. I'm with the Boo Fighters. I'm fairly new to the paranormal investigative world. I kind of joined the Boo Fighters because I started going to some of their local investigations, the public ones, and they just kind of adopted me like a sad puppy. So,
No, we thought he was awesome. We're like, dude, we're keeping you.
yeah,
You
okay.
have no choice in it. We're keeping you forever.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's how we all remember it going.
But yeah, I'm like I said, I'm fairly new to the whole paranormal world. I've always had an interest in the paranormal and the occult and things along those lines since I was little. But this is like the first chance I got to actually go out and play with the toys and go to all these really cool places and, kind of learn from the best.
That's super cool. So you got fresh new eyes on the entire situation. That's cool. I got questions for you in your introduction to this in a minute. Before we get there though, Jess, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, like you said, I'm Jess. I'm part of the Boo Fighters. I'm kind of like one of the core members that, DJ Ariel and I kind of started it. And John's been with us since literally our first public investigation. So he's pretty much a core member too. And I've always been into the paranormal, but I didn't do a lot of investigating until DJ and Ariel came around. And Ariel I'm librarian at the Gardiner Public Library, and Ariel and I met there, and we kind of became kind of friends. And one day they were like, "Hey, we have all this equipment. We're wicked into this." I'm like, "Oh my god, let's go investigate the library." And we did, and then it just kind of took off from there.
Okay, so you were the connection for the library then, and they told me a lot about that. They said that was one of their favorite locations.
It's literally been our most active location that we've investigated, for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So did you already know that the library was haunted or had a reputation?
Oh yeah. It's been around. It was built in 1881, and it's definitely seen some activity, including to our director, who was a wicked skeptic and doesn't believe in any of that. And she had an experience down in the basement, and that's when we were just like, all right, let's go investigate this place.
Wow, that's cool. So are you a librarian?
Yes.
You are. Okay, awesome. That's first librarian I've had on the show.
Oh, well, thank you.
And she's a historian too. Don't undersell yourself.
Sure. Well, you know how to research, I'm sure, tracking stuff down, records and things like that. You probably have access to, right? The libraries get I'm sure you get
I know what questions to ask, and I know where to go to get the answers.
Sure.
At least through my librarianship. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. So you're the one that gets to dig up all the juicy details after you figure out what's going on in a place. That is super fun. Okay, so let's get back to John, because you're new to the paranormal. You say you were interested in it, you watch movies and you're like, oh, that'd be cool, or kind of a fascination, or did you have some sort of a cursory interest in the actual research?
Well, I watched all the ghost shows that are on TV.
Yeah.
Taking them most of them with a grain of salt, as a lot of dramatized. But just the whole paranormal occult stuff has always kind of piqued my interest, but I never had a real outlet for the paranormal investigation because I didn't know anybody who did it. So which was nice when they started doing these in Gardiner. I was like, oh, might as well check that out, see what it is.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So you've been doing it, what, about a year now?
Something like that, isn't it? About a year, ish.
October.
Yep. So, less than a
So
year.
you count yourself as a skeptic, I assume. You sound like
not really, because I mean, I've seen things that I couldn't explain. I don't go in with the idea that every noise and everything you see is a ghost, because there are legitimate reasons for things happening. But there's a lot of stuff that we've had activity wise that I can't explain. I do believe in ghosts and spirits and the supernatural and all that, but I am a skeptic in the sense that I don't just go in believing everything is paranormal, you know?
right. Okay. Yeah. So you come pretty level headed. You're kind of, you're looking at the situation and kind of learn and analyze it. That makes sense. That's a good way of describing it. So did you believe in the paranormal before you joined the Boo Fighters, or has that cemented it since then?
No, I've had some experiences in the past in an old house I lived in.
Oh, okay.
Just kind of little weird stuff like water turning on, you know, coming home and having the curtain pulled aside in the door when there's nobody home. We actually had a wine bottle candle float off a TV, not fall, but actually floated off and then drop. So is it that kind of, I've always believed in that kind of stuff. This kind of cemented it though, because, you know, there's a lot of cool things go on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I look forward to hearing more about all of that too. Jess, how did you get into the paranormal?
So I've pretty much been into it since I was like young. The house that I grew up in was 1871. It was built. It was like a doctor's house in like horse and carriage days. And we definitely had some like creepy stuff happen in the house that I grew up in, like crying in the attic and like seeing a little boy and a young woman with long like dark hair in our house. So it kind of started there pretty much. And then my stepmom kind of handed me like Stephen King when I was 8, and it just cemented my entire life into the spooky. Just
right. So are you from Maine originally?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Born and raised, Augusta, Maine. Now I live in Gardiner. But
what about you, John? Did I ask you? Are you from Maine originally?
Nope. Originally, I'm from Quincy, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay. So New Englander. Okay.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
He's been here long enough that we accept him, though.
I've been up here.
Has he learned?
He's not a from awayer anymore.
Yep.
Well, the first test, has he figured out how to use a blinker?
Use a what? Blinker. We don't use this.
Yeah. Okay.
anymore.
Exactly. See,
That's
he's got to change the blinker fluid. That's the first step. You got to learn that.
Yeah.
Every time you get a new vehicle, make sure you check that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so it sounds like you both kind of have had a long-term interest in the paranormal. So it's always cool to have people that have already like had a background, because a lot of people, it's like their first experience with the paranormal is what kind of like awakens it, you know, makes them interested in it. So if you already have an interest in it naturally, of course you're going to kind of look at it differently and you're going to talk about things differently. So that's, you know, I noticed that the way that somebody that's done paranormal research looks at cases, looks at information is entirely different than your average Joe that just heard a bump in the night, you know? So it's always fun. And that was part of why I wanted to get you guys on, as well as DJ and Ariel, because I see all these new paranormal groups popping up, especially in Southern Maine. Like there's like 3 or 4 of y'all that have all just shown up in the last year or so. And it's great. I love it, because I mean, the more interest there is in that, the more people are looking for answers, the more likely we are to find them. So for me, as somebody that is like more of an aggregator of like stories and experiences, every time that I learn of a new team, I'm like, oh, great. So there's more people that are learning of new locations and researching new stuff and figuring out new techniques. And like, it's always cool. That being said, aside from the library, and I do want to ask you, Jessica, about the library in a little bit. Where's some of your favorite locations the two of you have investigated?
John, what about you?
Let's see. Well, the library, of course. Fort Western in Augusta.
Absolutely.
Which-
Second favorite place.
Which we can actually touch on a little bit because we are doing another investigation there this summer, an overnight.
It's in August, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm actually one of the interpreters who works there.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's how I kind of got them the
That's how we got our in at the fort, was John.
because they in the past haven't really let paranormal groups come in because they've had some issues in the past. But I was like, well, I'm part of it, and these are good people, so letting us do it.
Sure.
Well, that's a pretty cool place. Some weird stuff has gone on there with me. If you want to hear it, if you have a sec.
Yeah, I love to hear it. So Fort Western is it was 1800s, if I remember correctly. It's an all wood fort, right?
Yeah, it was built in 1754.
Oh, wow.
It was a British fort during the French and Indian War, and then it got turned into a general store, homestead, then a tenement building, and then finally a museum over the course. So it's the original building, 270 something years old.
Wow.
But there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on there.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So we have upstairs, we have some nice bedrooms, and they're really set up really pretty. And one of them has a really nice bedspread on it, and we keep it, and really, the bedrooms look nice. And we're not allowed to sit on the furniture because it's 250 years old. They'd probably kill us if we did. So I was doing a tour, and I went up to this one bedroom, and it's got a floral bedspread on it and a canopy. And there was a big indentation on the bed, like somebody had sat down and laid down on it.
Oh, yeah.
So I sent a message to my boss and sent her a picture, and she's like, I don't know, I just made the bed. So at the end of the day, me and one of the other interpreters went upstairs. We're going to straighten it up. And we go in and we knock on the door, and we're like, hey, we're going to come in and straighten your bed. So we straighten it all up. And as soon as we finished that, the bedroom behind us, we heard this huge bang, like something fell off a wall, but there was nothing on the walls. And I guess other people have had similar experiences with the impression on the bed. And it used to happen in the bedroom that we heard the bang from. So that was kind of cool. People have seen apparitions, like full-blown apparitions in the attic and on the first floor. So yeah, there's a lot of history there. A lot of people died there, just like from disease and things like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Over the couple of centuries. But it's a great site. I mean, even if you're not going there for the paranormal, just go there and check it out because it's a really cool little fort.
Yeah, I saw some pictures of it because when they mentioned that you had that investigation going on there, I looked it up. And it does look like a really cool place. This summer, I'm planning like a little road trip to go around and check out some of these locations that people have told me about, and that's one on the list. It's like Southern Maine again. There's so much down there and so much history as well, but here in the mid coast, it's like a whole different world. We hear two different sets of history, It's like, because I work for the Historical Society here in Bar Harbor, and I hear next to nothing when it's outside of like the Down East region. It's just as lost to me, basically. Yeah, that's super cool though. So have you seen anything there yourself aside from the impression? Have you ever seen an apparition or anything like that?
No, unfortunately. Yeah. I'd like to.
Yeah, hoping. That's the holy grail, like they say.
Yeah,
right?
That would be pretty cool, to see one, talk to one, Yeah. The ones that have been seen have been in colonial clothing. So they go way back.
Yeah. 1700s, I imagine, is probably something in a whole different world you're peering into there. Jess, how about you and the library? Because I heard a lot about the investigations there, but you having worked there, you must experience more than probably anybody, right?
I mean, yes. So I've never seen like anything full bodied. I've definitely seen like glimpses of things. Like I've there's been a couple of times where I've walked past the stacks in this like the regular area of the library at night, and there's one aisle where it looks like someone's like laying down on the floor in that area, like kind of in the fetal position, but as soon as you actually look, there's no one there. So that's caught me a few times, but it's more like we have lights that shut off on us all the time for no reason, all times of the day.
Yeah.
These lights in the front room just like shut off, and patrons are like, "What?" And we're like, "Oh, we call it Mr. Hazard." He is the man. He's buried up at Oak Grove Cemetery right up the road, and he donated what is now the reading room, but was originally the children's room of the library. And so, like, we just say it's Mr. Hazard turning the lights off because that's kind of what he does. He rarely turns them back on. Most of the time, we have to go do it by hand. But then when I think, right? John, this was actually one of the investigations that you were there. We had a light turn. We were all up in the children's room, and we had a light turn on up in the attic while we were all investigating. And we're like, okay, we saw it come on because there's like this trap door in the ceiling.
Yeah.
And we actually ended up having to call the fire department to come because the light switch is only up in the attic. And we can't get there without their ladder. So the fire department had to come and shut the light off for us.
Hold on. The light was turned on in the attic with no one having any way of accessing.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
During our one of our public, either our first private or our first public investigation.
Wow.
But we did get the shadow. I got some good pictures of shadow figures too up in the upstairs. Two different
so the children's room has been one of our most active areas. They didn't originally start as the children's room. It started off as library hall. There was a stage. We have the original stage curtain that's still up there. There were balls and tea parties and art exhibits and so it's definitely seen a lot of use.
Yeah. A lot of energy manifested there. I mean,
for sure.
That seems to be a thing. There's a lot of people will be like, oh, well, nobody died there. And it's like, well, you don't have to. Any place that makes energy, whether it be emotions, whether it be people living their lives. I mean, a library is one of those conduits. People go there for a lot of different reasons, right?
Plus, we have furniture and contracts, and we have this indentured servant contract of a 14-year-old boy when we were still Massachusetts. We have this contract that he signed to be an indentured servant so we have all of these old things that are extremely, emotionally charged too in our building. So it's just kind of
Wow. Yeah. And that'll have its own attachments. And I'm sure that probably, I mean, it's the perfect combination, whether it be the historic building, the general location that it's in, because it sounds like the whole neighborhood kind of has weird stuff going on. From what
wicked.
DJ and Ariel had said, they were like, oh yeah, there's stuff up the street, there's stuff down back, yeah. So it seems like it's kind of the perfect storm, right? And all of that
wicked.
Stuff
yeah. Well, and being close to the water and
yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that. That's when it comes to the paranormal, it's it's one thing that I always like to try and theorize about. Of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Is what causes a haunting, or what causes a manifestation, right? Because we were discussing it the other night, and can't remember which of them it was that brought it up, but they brought up their theory about why you always see them in older clothing, Victorian clothing and stuff like that. And that was a theory I had not heard before, and so that was a pretty fresh take. But as far as you're both concerned, from your approach, your experience, what do you think causes a haunting, or what do you think makes a haunting?
It's kind of a hard one. Well, I think the obvious, if something happened in a certain place that gave off a lot of energy, something like a death or a murder, or, could be anything. I think that leaves an impression, that either is going to be just there all the time. People who just don't want to leave, or who come to a place because it's familiar to them.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yep. They may not have died there or died anywhere near there, but there may be something that's special to them and they come back to that place.
Sure.
Plus, I think there's just energies out there that aren't necessarily related to like spirits or humans or individuals. I think there's just energies out there, and those can manifest in different weird ways as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I definitely agree with you there. What about you, Jess?
So I believe there's a difference between a haunted house and a house that is haunted. Kind of like John was saying, I feel like a haunted house is somewhere that has drawn in energy, and it's maybe like a residual haunting, like just the same thing gets played over and over again. Or like John said, there's a horrible murder there, and that energy just got sucked into the walls, but it's not an actual like intelligent haunting. And I think a house that's haunted has an intelligent haunting, like a haunting that either wants to be there because they are familiar with it and it's comforting to them, or it's a place that they're stuck for some reason. But I think there are different types of hauntings for sure. For sure.
No, that definitely makes sense. And for any of the listeners that aren't familiar, whether you are or not, just as a quick disclaimer, I'll throw it up on the screen. Residual haunting, typically when they're describing that, what they're talking about is essentially, most people don't think of ghosts as like, they always think of it being as a human spirit. A residual haunting isn't really attached to a human so much as it is a manifestation of a time and space. It seems like I always describe it as like a record playing on repeat. It's always going to continue to make that same sound, whether anybody's in the room or not. It's just going to keep playing. So you'll have a spirit that can be walking, traversing the same hallway that it has for 200 years through walls that haven't existed in at least, decades, right? Meanwhile, an intelligent haunting is able to interact with you. And I like the way you explain that, because that is a good breakdown of a haunted house versus a house with a haunting. I love the way you just explained that, because that's brilliant. That's very, very smart. So I guess spinning off from that, looking at some of the ones that you've been at, have you experienced any hauntings that you feel are intelligent?
Yeah, I mean, at the Vassalboro Mill, we got all kinds of responses with dowsing rods, which I was kind of skeptical at first about dowsing rods, but no, they seem to work. So we're getting some definite responses, yes and no responses to those. Same thing with like the EMF meters and the REM pods going off. So something or someone was answering the questions we were asking.
Same in Gardiner at the library. We got responses and like names and stuff on the spirit box that like matched up with things that made sense for the Gardiner Library and the Gardiner area. Like there were names that were mentioned that we went and looked up, and it's like, oh, he did live in Gardiner, like this full name. Wow. Or we also got a couple, like we investigated once when we had this kid William with us, and when we investigated another time a couple months later, like it actually said this kid's full name.
Huh. Did you tell him?
he knows. Willie knows.
That's always the fun one, is when they ask for them after they're gone. You're like, hey, somebody asked you about you the other day.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So there have definitely been occasions where we're like, all right, this is aware enough to respond to questions and such as that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's really the only thing that like things like spirit boxes, REM pods seem to really work with, is ones that can interact with it and actually have some sort of intelligence, whether they're aware of it or not. It's kind of an interesting thing. It's like I see like a lot of the historical like buildings and stuff like that around here. I feel probably 90% of them, it's all residual stuff. It's all just energies that are just trapped there, because it doesn't have rhyme or reason. You can't go in there with like a Ouija board or a spirit box or something like that and expect for it to like respond to what you're doing. It doesn't seem to respond to stimuli. Meanwhile, at the other time, you'll be standing in a hallway and you'll feel it walk right by you, and people see it every day. And so it's like, something's there, but it's not aware of us, and we're not able to perceive.
John, I felt like the Governor Hill mansion was a lot of like residual for me. I felt like there was like smells that kept popping up and like, but not in like reaction to any of our questions.
Like the cigar smell in the basement.
Yeah.
Other people, I guess the person who runs the place has told us other people have smelled the cigar smell in the basement as well. Not everybody smells it, but people do smell cigars down there.
And where was that? You said the governor's mansion?
Governor Hill Mansion.
Governor Hill Mansion. Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. Wow.
It's like a conference convent.
Yeah, so it was started off as the mansion of Governor Hill before the Blaine House became the governor's mansion. Governor Hill built his own mansion, and then it was the Oblate House. It was it was a priest center, like a center with the Oblate priests for a while, and then it got sent over to Catholic Charities. And now the gentleman that owns the Quarry Taproom in Hollowell, he bought this, and it has like offices, but you can also rent it out for like weddings and conferences and such.
Yeah, those are always fun places, and especially if they let people in there to explore them for stuff like that. Like, you'd be surprised how many of those places just don't want to have any association, even when they have.
This place was pretty cool. This place was pretty cool.
It's kind of funny
to let us in, and
it's kind of funny how we got that because where I work, we had our office Christmas party there.
Oh, there you go.
And I went in and I was talking to one of the servers, and I said, "Hey, is this place haunted?" And she goes, "Oh my God, it's haunted. You need to go talk to the director over here." So I went in and talked to her for a while, and she was telling me stuff, stories and whatever. And I'm like, "Hey, I'm part of this group. Do you think you would let us come in and investigate?" And she was all over that. So
nice. That's awesome. That's wicked cool. So did you get a vibe when you walked in there, or did it just look like an old place and you were like,
it's an old place. I didn't really get any major vibes from it.
Yeah.
She did let me and one of my coworkers just run amok in the place investigating it, just going upstairs, checking out all the rooms and all that. She's like, "Yeah, go nuts, check it all out."
Oh, that's awesome.
It definitely has a certain feel to it.
I had actually pretty much grown up in the place. My adopted grandfather was one of the Oblate priests there. So like we went there for private mass when I was younger, because I got like really sick as a child. So I had to have like private mass. So we went there, I went there when there was still a swimming pool there inside the building. And so it was more familiar feeling to me than anything else at that point. But I definitely saw someone like walk across the window at the top of the stairs. So that was pretty fun.
Nice. So it's almost an apparition. I mean, well, is it like a shadow or was it?
Yeah, definitely a silhouette.
Oh, that's fun. That's fun. Yeah, that sounds like a blast there. So one thing I love to ask people that do paranormal research, and it's some people, but I love to ask it. I have two questions I always like to ask. First one, what is your one piece of equipment that you have to have every investigation?
It's a hard one. I mean, they're all.
Other than a flashlight.
Other than a flashlight, other than that, assume that you've got the flashlight and the basic amenities covered. Like me personally, the one thing that I always have is an EMF detector. It is the most easy.
I will always have an EMF, no matter what. EMF will always be in my bag, always.
I got one of those
for sure.
With me all the
time.
It
basically never leaves my hand when I'm investigating. I've always got it.
But I would have to say the dowsing rods, because those are cool. If you've never tried them, I mean,
my fiance really wants us to get a set of them.
Yeah.
I bought them, and we've brought them to every every one of our investigations since I got them, and they've produced results for us for sure.
It's very cool. I
I'm
got to
gonna,
get a set as well.
yeah, I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to.
when
order
we
a
were
set
at the
after
mill, we actually had them count how many ghosts were there. They would cross the rods for as many spirits were there. Like we
that.
even got to use them for that. So like,
Wow.
yeah, they're
Wow.
pretty neat to have.
Yeah. I've seen more of them in recent years than I like ever did before, which was always weird to me because they're such a like kind of an almost like rudimentary instrument, right? It's just two rods that you're just letting guide. And that seems so simple, and yet I see more and more compelling like things with it, and especially with like some of the people that I follow and watch their investigations and stuff. It seems cooler all the time, and hearing good reports from people like you, it makes me want to go out and buy one ASAP.
Yeah. Well,
But you got to figure, like, they've been around this long for a reason because they worked for people for a reason. So, like, go ahead and respect the old ways sometimes, you know?
Fair, valid.
And the electronic stuff is fun. You know, all the like the REM pods and the SLS and, you know, all that stuff. That's fun. But sometimes it's just getting two rods and going out there, you know?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I have a background in metrology, which means the tech stuff, the instruments, the, you know, all that stuff. I love that stuff. But it is like at a certain point, you're not going to get a response on them all the time. And it is nice to have something that is a little more back to the roots, right? So that's awesome. I'm definitely going to look into buying a set of them. I'm seeing more and more, like I said, and I've been mulling it over. It's just another thing to add to the kit.
They don't have to be super expensive either. Literally, just get copper ones. But they don't have to be these like stupid $60 whatever ones. Like I got a pair of $25 ones, and they're pure and they're great. They work. So
for $10
like don't.
So
yeah,
they're cheap.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I would recommend when you look up, like literally look up dowsing rods. Don't mention paranormal anything anywhere.
Oh yeah,
because you're just gonna get a price jump for real.
For sure. Yeah, no, I understand how that would be. I have seen that with equipment in real time that I've worked with in the past. And the moment that you put like ghost sensor or something on it, paranormal something, it's a $300 price hike instantly.
Yeah,
it's like
for
you
real.
can buy a regular EMF detector very cheap.
Oh yeah.
You want to buy one through somebody that says, hey, this will show you where ghosts are. Yeah, it's not as bad. So Jess, aside from the EMF, is there another instrument in your tool bag?
I mean, I'm gonna pull John's. Like the dowsing rods have become one of my favorite pieces of equipment. For real. I did just buy like a little pendulum kit, and I'm looking forward to trying that out. But yeah, dowsing rods been really fun.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, I'll definitely look into a set of those for myself at this point. Is why not? So the other question I love to ask is, what is your dream investigation? Where would you go? Now, if it's somewhere in Maine, that's fine. But I like people to try and spice it up a little bit.
Waverly in Kentucky.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Over in Europe, check out some of the castles.
I mean, that would be cool. Leap Castle.
Yeah. Any of them.
With the Elemental and the Oubliette. That place would be fun.
Yeah.
I have a friend over there who lived in a 14th century house that was haunted. So, I mean, going to places like that would be cool. To them, it's nothing. Living in a 500-600-year-old house is like, but,
sure.
You know,
yeah.
Well, like our country's not even that old.
Yeah, exactly.
But some of the castles would be, I'm sure you'll get some, you know, pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, no, I definitely, Waverly has like always been my go-to answer on this one. So I definitely am with you on that.
Oh, what's that island in Italy? The Plague Island.
It,
Do you know
it
what I'm
begins with
talking
a
about?
P. I know the one you're talking
Yes,
about. It
like
begins with a P.
that place.
Yeah, geez, I just was watching a thing about that the other day too, and it'll come to me as soon as I'm off the call.
Like,
I'll remember exactly.
yeah, per something.
Yeah, or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, that place would be awesome.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
the fort out in Boston Harbor. I think it's Fort Warren. Is it? Can't remember the which.
That'd be neat too.
It's the Lady in Black and all that, supposedly.
Yeah.
Can't remember the name of the fort though.
I don't remember it either. That'd be pretty cool though. Any fort would be pretty cool.
Okay, so the plague island is Poveglia.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
just
that
had to look
place.
it up because it was going to drive me crazy if I didn't.
That
find
place
that.
between the plague and the mental hospital and the,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, haunting on top of haunting. I've got to assume. And
Right?
same with what you were saying, John, about the castles and stuff. Like I remember because I used to back in the day, of course, like probably you two may have watched Ghost Hunters. Well, back in the day when they did the Ghost Hunters International, and I watched the episodes they went over there, I was like, oh,
With Rob, yeah.
I was like, oh man, that's a whole other level of haunted over there.
Yeah.
We have weird stuff. They have
ghosts.
a whole new thing.
Yeah, like they went to that place. I think it was like the Ramsden Inn that had like the succubus
Oh yeah.
that place.
Just, like growling into the microphone and stuff like that.
Yeah, they got thousands of years of cool stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder like Stonehenge would be kind of cool to check out too.
Sure. Yeah. Any of those like ancient monolithic monuments. I mean, there's got to be a ton of energies associated with stuff like that. And it's got to be a blast. I mean, yeah. And that's exactly the type of thing that's like if you had like no restrictions and didn't have to worry going to those sort of locations. I mean, it's the dream, right? So we try and do as much of it in our little neck of the woods as we possibly can. And I say we do all right. Maine is very haunted. Like
we definitely have some fun spots for sure.
I don't think it quite gets noticed as much because we're ignored a lot. And that was something that I seem to see a lot is we never come up. When people are talking about haunted places, always talking
as
about
a librarian though, like literally any book that has something weird, oh, it happened in Maine. Anytime any kid gets sent to like some boarding home, like boarding school, oh, it's in Maine. Like, that's the only time we get noticed, actually, is like, oh, the weird stuff, that happens up in Maine. Every single book, oh, it's in Maine. We have like 5 mysteries coming out this month alone that are based in Maine because it's Maine.
Yeah. There's all of Stephen King stuff in Maine.
Yep.
You know?
That was the funniest thing. And that's part of like the genesis of like the Acadia After Dark and the Fogcast and stuff. The first time that I was outside of the US and met somebody, and they were from Australia, and we were just trading, where were you from, blah, blah, blah. And I mentioned I'm from Maine, and they're like, isn't that the place with the werewolves? And I was like, what?
Werewolves?
They were like the werewolves, like in Stephen King, and I'm like, I guess, like I was like, and apparently a lot of other countries that was their thought of us is exactly what you just said, Jess, that like all the weird stuff happens here. We're like Transylvania. Yeah. If you live in Transylvania, they're like the weird stuff is in Maine, apparently.
For sure. No, for sure. Maine's the weird place.
Yep.
Funny and ironic in its own way. So that aside, you've both been investigating. You've both gotten to go to some really cool locations. Would you mind sharing a couple of your favorite stories with me of things you might have experienced? It could be in the investigation context, or it can just be weird stuff. I mean, I try and get listener stories every time. Paranormal investigators, it's like that's your whole thing, is you're trying to, have weird experiences everywhere you go and everything you do. So if there's any that really like stay with you.
So when my father moved into the last place that he lived, I went there and I spent the night there exactly once. And when I was there, I had this dream, this dream of like, it must have been like the original family. And I was, because like there wasn't like any of our furniture. I was in the house, there wasn't any of our furniture or anything like that. The fireplace in the living room that we weren't allowed to use was like all lit up. They had like stew over the fire. I went up into his room, and through his closet, I went into this other like extra of the attic space. And it was full of dead bodies, other than this little boy who was like kind of curled up in the corner, and I thought he had been passed too. But as I started drawing out of the room, his like eyes flicked out open at me, and I woke up, and I never spent the night there again because of that one dream. But a week later, like my dad had just been moving in when I had this dream. A week later, he called me, and there was a door in the back of his closet that had been nailed shut, and he never opened it. But it's the door that I went through in my dream when I had never been in his like new bedroom yet.
Wow.
So that's probably like the creepiest situation. And after that, I would always see the little boy from my dream, never with like my actual eyes, but if I was like looking out the window, I would like see him standing on the edge of the woods. He wouldn't ever come into the yard, but he was on the edge of the woods around the house. So like that was my creepiest experience. Like,
wow. So was this, first of all, I gotta ask, was this a New England home? Was this in Maine, or was it?
Yes. Yep. It was in Jefferson, Maine.
Tiny rooms with doors, like little closets that just have a door in them. I don't know why we do that in New England. I really wish we would stop, because there can't be anything good behind those doors.
Yeah. They're never. There's no.
Like, I know they're probably there for a real reason. It's kind of like the witch windows. I know that like there's a historical real reason to why they have witch windows in New England. I understand. Still
don't need them though. Still don't need them. Exactly. I'm all set not having them anywhere near me.
Yeah, the bad vibes are enough reason to do away with it. And that's little tiny doors in the back of closets, especially nailed shut.
Yeah, that's a big no-no.
Yeah.
Like, that's how a horror movie starts.
Yeah.
What about you, John?
Well, the stuff at Fort Western, I mean, that's kind of stuck with me.
Yeah.
Whenever I go into that bedroom, I get a chill every single time. One of the girls who goes in there, she didn't know about the stories. Whenever she goes in there, she gets dizzy. So
yeah,
that whole thing stuck with me. And the other weird thing that I noticed is above the main door that leads into the storehouse, there's like a lintel, and there's carvings on it with drawings. And I don't know what they are, but some of them look like the witch marks you'd see on European homes.
Interesting.
The scratches and circles and things along those lines. Again, it might just be carpenter stuff from the early days, but sure, there's a very similar pattern to them, to the ones I've seen in European homes.
Well, I mean, there's that. A lot of lodges, depending on who built it, a lot of masons left symbols all over the place, and especially in New England, it's all over. I mean, a lot of the buildings on the island and stuff, you can still see traces of it. But I mean, that doesn't mean that it wasn't also somebody else. There's plenty of, I mean, it sounds like it was a very historic place. It could have been something just a carpenter was doing, or it could have had meaning. You never know, right?
There was so many different things that it wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah. Other than that, I think just some of the stuff that went on at the mill, because that place was crazy. Between there's one room, the G room, right? Is it room G?
Yeah, G.
That is where we got all kinds of responses, like a very super active room. Like
that's probably been the most active room there.
Yeah. And that kind of, I mean, it was cool. It kind of gave me the willies a little bit, but it was definitely cool. That kind of made an impression on me.
Nice. So, and that was, you just recently went and investigated the mill, right? That was
again. Yeah. Like we actually did it. What was it? February? No, March.
Like times, I think, so far. We did
like
the winter.
February, March. Yeah, was our first two investigations. This was like a follow up like we brought a new crew in that hadn't investigated there before.
Okay. Well, that sounds super fun. Yeah, I've heard. I was telling DJ and Ariel about that. I've heard so much of that mill over the years. It's on my list of places I need to get to. And now that you're doing investigations there, and they're doing public investigations again, I was like, oh man, that's awesome. And like when I heard about it, I think it was like the day before you were set to do the most recent one. Otherwise, I would have hopped on that. And I was like, yeah, I just can't do it
there are places that we aren't allowed to bring the public. Like when we did our private one, like you were there for that one, John, right? Down in the
creepy sub basement.
Yeah. So we went to the basement, and then we went to the basement. And then after that, there's another basement. And so you get to these horribly rickety wooden stairs, and you get to the bottom of these horribly rickety wooden stairs, and there's a horrible rickety wooden ladder lashed to the bottom of the stairs.
That's super sketchy. Super sketchy.
Yeah, and it takes you down into this tunnel. When we went, everything was completely frozen, so we were all trying not to like slip and fall on our butt on the ice. And there was a tunnel full of bats. It was fun.
That sounds like a blast.
It was actually really cool.
I mean, the climbing down, I'm sure, must have been terrifying because,
Yeah, climbing back up wasn't amazing either, but,
Yeah.
I imagine doing it in the middle of the winter, especially if you were unfamiliar with the ground underneath you, was probably not ideal either. But yeah, that mill sounds awesome. I know a couple of guys that used to do a Paracon there years ago. I mean, it was probably close to a decade ago at this point. I think maybe more. And it was active as hell back then, and people loved investigating there. So I'm glad to see people still are. We definitely have like a lot of, again, we have a lot of mills, a lot of industrial places, especially in this state, that just so much energy wrapped up in them and got nowhere to go. So it seems to stay there. And that's why you go into random places that are the shells of an old tannery or something like that. And still today you can see shadows walking.
No, there's some, really cool. When I went on hiked the Cutler Trail up in Cutler, Maine, the hotel that we stayed at was actually used to be a sardine canning factory.
Oh, nice.
It was like really cool that they turned it into a place for people to stay.
One of my favorite ones that was repurposed on the island, and I can't say the name of the location because it's changed hands and names for reasons, but it was originally a house of ill repute. Then it became a mortuary. Then it became an inn and spa, like a bed and breakfast.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So I stayed there, and this was, a decade and a half ago at least. I stayed there, and the room where they actually had the masseuse table in the spa was directly next to the door for the incinerator. Like, you're laying on the masseuse's table, there's this big metal door in the wall, and and meanwhile, at that time, the owner at the time, he had no problem with telling stories. He was like, oh yeah, he's like, that's what this used to be, and oh, just wait until you hear about this and all that stuff. The new owners, they deny all. They want nothing to do with it. And I'm like, you know what? That's you're right. You're a business owner. To me, I can't understand it. If I had a haunted place, I'd want everybody to know.
Oh yeah,
right?
It's a good business plan,
right?
It really is.
Yeah, there's no better boost for tourism in my experience than finding out a place is haunted.
People are going to want to come to your place if it's haunted, for sure.
It's not going to turn anybody away. I never heard a single person that was like, no, I'm not staying at that bed and breakfast that's $80 a night just because I don't want to deal with the spooks. It's not happening.
No, they're like, hey, I'm going to go stay here for $200 a night because it has ghosts.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And that's Maine for you. The vacation land. That's if and nothing else is a boon to that. Well, it's coming up to the end of the show, close to an hour now. Before we start to wrap it up, I want to give you each a chance to plug anything you got going on. DJ and Ariel, I mentioned the investigation at Fort Western coming up.
That's
Just
August
that you had
8th, right,
something-
John?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the Para Horror Con we're going to be at in September.
In September.
At the Civic Center.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so come on out and meet us and chat with us and tell us your stories.
Yeah, I'm going to be there cruising around talking to people and stuff. So I will probably see you in person.
Yes,
at some
perfect.
point
Come
in
by,
that
say
week.
hi.
Absolutely will. I'll be on the lookout. For the
We
booth.
don't have dates for them yet, but we are in talks with the Bench in Gardiner, which is a bar for an investigation, Hubbard Library in Hollowell, and we have probably October. We're thinking maybe the Colonial Theater in Augusta.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, October, busy month for ghost hunting and stuff. Get the bag while you can. Get in those locations because they fill up fast.
Yeah, for sure.
And we do have a Facebook group, the Boo Fighters, the Best of Boo.
Best
So
of Boo.
the Best of Boo. So if people want to join the group, it's a place where we put announcements. People can tell their scary stories. They can post pictures from their investigations. Share ideas, just a place to get different people talking about stuff.
Awesome. If I'm not already on that, I'm going to make sure and join. And
But
I will
say, yeah, it's a lot of fun. John posts polls all the time for people to answer.
Nice.
It's a fun little place for people to talk.
Regular, Facebook page too for the the Boo Fighters.
Yeah. So do you do most of the group work, or do you guys all divvy up the social media presence, or does everybody have their own thing?
I mean, DJ and Ariel kind of do the page, but like John is the group. He is the group. He runs it.
Gotcha.
He's great.
Cool. Awesome.
Got to keep people motivated and
Yeah.
get these other paranormal people to come in and share. Because it's not a competition. I feel that amongst paranormal groups out there, just even on television shows and what have you, that it seems to be like a competition of who can investigate the most and this and that. In my opinion, first off, we're all pretty much investigating the same things, same places.
Yep.
Yeah,
Majority.
exactly.
Why not share information, collaborate with each other, kind of build the hobby, build the whole, paranormal investigation world, level it up.
Aren't we all technically working for the same goal to prove that these exist and to like help people get in touch with it or get away from it or anything? Like, why do we have to fight each other over it?
Yeah.
We're supposed to be, and you're right. We should all be on the same page in that understanding. But I think a part of it, and this is just speculation, honestly, is since the social media age, while we have so much more access to information now that it all got monetized, everybody doesn't want to share anymore. Their story, their experience, their clip, their special location, their method is all something that they want to keep too close to the chest so nobody else can benefit from it.
Right.
Meanwhile, like the real paranormal community is over here doing the real work and actually like making progress and stuff. And those are the ones that are the best to like actually like talk to and things like that, because they do have.
I mean, I think that's kind of like, would we like to be able to make a living off this kind of stuff? Sure. Will we ever be like, let's do a TV show? No. That's kind of like, I feel like where teams lose sight because they're more playing towards the show than actually doing the investigation piece, and that's kind of what we're more about. Yes, we want people to have fun, but we want to investigate.
If the Discovery Channel came and said, "Hey, we want to give you a boatload of money and give you a TV show," I don't think we'd turn it down.
Probably not, but as long as we got to run it our way,
right? That's the caveat there.
Yeah,
that would be the caveat right there, because
maybe there'll be an episode where literally they just sit there and nothing happens.
Right.
Yeah.
And I tell people who, because people at like work ask me about it, and I've met some other people in some of the other groups ask me about it, and the first thing I tell them is like, okay, it's not like the TV shows. It's a lot of standing around, waiting for something to happen, listening for something in the dark, in the cold. But when you do get that thing that happens, it's 100% worth it.
Mm-hmm. I think the best example and part of what ruined that is back in the day, nobody ever had to see the full like 8 hours of them sitting in a room and listening to EVP recordings with nothing going on for 4 hours at a time. Just mind-numbing silence and the echoes of your own footsteps in an empty house. They never saw that because they got the quick little cut, and then they were like, "Oh, look!" And then you get that payoff. Meanwhile, the moment somebody has to actually go out there and do that, they're like, "Well, this isn't fun."
Well, and that's kind of like before investigations when we bring public, we're like, hey, this might be a lot of just sitting around with nothing happening. We're not promising anything.
Yeah.
Like a lot of ghost work is just that, sitting around with nothing happening.
But people seem to have a lot of fun at our investigation.
Yeah, people keep showing up, so we must be doing something right.
Yeah, you've been selling them out. I mean, from what I understand, business is good as far as that's concerned, and you're doing good things with it. So that's always a plus.
And we got our regulars that come, you know.
Yeah, that's always nice because who knows? Maybe you can recruit them to the team down the road when you need.
But what we do with every location too is we split the proceeds straight down the middle with the location. We don't keep it all. So it's always like every Johnson Hall, the library, the mill, everything gets half.
Yeah. I'm sure that helps them to understand that there's something, something to be had there because money talks when it comes to businesses, operations, It's one thing when they're just having, a couple people in there, but if it's going to be a regular thing, I'm sure they're probably going to want to have some return. And it's good that you're actually getting there with that relationship, that you're able to do that in some of these places because I mean, they're cool investigation spots you're finding. That's definitely great. I mean, keep it up. It's so cool. I've been following Boo Fighters for, month or so now, give or take, on Facebook, and enjoying what you guys post, enjoying what you're doing for work and stuff. So that's part of why I wanted to have y'all coming on. And I appreciate you both coming on and talking to me this evening.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No problem. Anytime. I was talking to DJ and Ariel at some point down the road when I get down to your neck of the woods. I'm going to have to link up with y'all and go on one of your investigations. And then who knows?
Let us know because we can totally have a private one at the library for you, if nothing else.
Hey, that could always be a blast. If it's as active as you're saying, why mess around with the little pond when you can go exactly where the fish are, right?
Yep.
And maybe that's part of what it is when people don't mind sitting around and listening to, hours of EPPs. Maybe it's like fishing because I used to love to fish, and maybe this is just replacing that. Who knows? But again, I really do appreciate you both coming on, chatting with me tonight. I'm super glad to get to meet all of you on the team. Boo Fighters is awesome. Super glad to get to meet you. I can't wait to see y'all at Paracon. Hopefully make it to one of your investigations sooner than that because you're going to be busy this summer. So that's awesome. I'll definitely make sure that everybody in the description is able to find your info and stuff like that. So hopefully some of my audience will say, hey, I found you thanks to the Fogcast, and you might get a few new fans as a result of that.
Yeah.
But keep doing what y'all do. I really think that you're for a relatively new paranormal team, I think you're doing a lot of great work. So I'm excited to see where things go here. But anyways, we will be back right after the break. That was John and Jessica of the Boo Fighters. Two hikers of the unseen trail, walking into places most folks only talk about in the daylight. Their work at the Gardiner Library, Fort Western, Governor Hill Mansion, and the Vassalboro Mill paints a picture of Maine that's less folklore and more lived reality. A place where the past still has something to say. Whether it's a cigar smell drifting through a basement with no known source, a bedspread shifting in an empty room, or a light turning on in an attic no one can reach, their stories remind us that this state is full of rooms that remember more than they reveal. If you want to cross paths with them, the Boo Fighters will be hosting an overnight investigation at Fort Western on August 8th, and they'll be at the Maine Paranormal and Horror Con in September at the Augusta Civic Center. They're also lining up new locations, such as the Bench, the Hubbard Library, and the Colonial Theater. So if you've been waiting for a reason to step into a haunted building with people who actually know what they're doing, your chance is coming. Their links will be in the episode description, so you can follow their work, support their events, and maybe join them on a night when the veil feels thin. When I'm back in their part of the state, I'll be stepping into the dark with them myself. That's it for this episode of the Fogcast. Thank you for joining us this evening in the mist-drenched shadows of the Maine woods. The Fogcast is a production of Acadia After Dark LLC. Our title music is written and performed by local Maine folk punk legends Pine Tree Riot, while background music and sound effects are courtesy of Epidemic Sound. If you enjoyed the show, please do me a personal favor. Complete the ritual by leaving a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. If you're tuning in on audio platforms, then go ahead and leave a rating. It helps us get into the ears of more listeners like you. Finally, if you want to support the show while getting access to exclusive content, then follow us over to Patreon and become a lantern holder tonight. Another way you can help us keep the lights on is by visiting our merch store, where we are adding new designs constantly. Go ahead and pick yourself up something nice. Visit AcadiaAfterDark.com for more horror from the coast of Maine. Keep those lanterns lit and stay safe out there.